the different parts of the circles. So we have our perfectly drawn circle here that has the small measurement that starts at the center and extends its way over to the apart any point on the actual circle. That was called the radius. We have the measurement that starts on one end of the circle, passes through the center, and extends all the way to the opposite end. That measurement is our longest measurement possible inside of a circle. That's called the diameter. And then the measurement that wraps all the way around the circle is called the circumference. Remember, we don't call it perimeter because perimeter is the measurement of all the edge lengths around a shape. But a circle doesn't have an edge. A circle is a free-flowing object. Okay, so these are the three parts that we've talked about yesterday. We also talked about how if you were given the radius, you could double it, and that would give you the diameter, right? Twice the radius is equal to the diameter, and that half the diameter is equal to the radius. Half the diameter would be equal to the radius. And then, of course, we had our infamous measurement of pi, which is 3.14. You must know this value because this value is going to be utilized in our formulas today for solving for area of a circle and solving for the circumference of a circle. Today's assignments are pretty easy as long as you know what you are looking for and what you're trying to solve. It's a simple matter of plugging in two values, pi being one of those values, and then either your radius or your diameter into the formula. It's that simple, okay? Edward, I will go ahead and give this to you after we're done, okay? All right. Let's go to the next page where we're going to go ahead and put down what our formulas are that we need to know. So let's start with the circumference formula. So again, as we said before, circumference is going to be the measurement that wraps around your circle. It's essentially similar to what we would call a perimeter for our polygon shapes, but a circle is not a polygon. Remember, it's free-flowing, okay? So for our circumference formula, let me try to get it focused. There we go. For our circumference formula, we're going to say that C is equal to the diameter's measurement, D. Remember, D represents diameter. And we're going to multiply that by pi. Remember, this is our value of pi. So whatever you know your diameter measurement to be, you're going to multiply it by pi, which is 3.14. So for example, if I have a circle and it has a long diameter measurement of 20 inches. If I've got that measurement of 20 inches for my diameter, so I'm saying diameter is equal to 20. In order for me to find the circumference, all I would have to do is replace the diameter, D, with 20, and then multiply that by 3.14. So what's 3.14 times 20 going to give us? 62.8. So we would have 62.8, but remember we're talking about measurements in inches, so we would put inches. It is that simple. You are just taking a measurement that you know and plugging it into the formula. Now, let's say that I'm given a circle, but instead of being given the diameter, I'm told only the radius. So let's say that the radius in this case is, we'll say 9 yards, 9 yards. So I'm being told now that the radius is 9 yards. But again, the formula for circumference says that I need to have the diameter. I need the diameter's measurement. But what I'm being told is that the radius is equal to 9. So how do I find the diameter? If the diameter is what I need, how do I find the diameter? Times it by 2, right? Times it twice. So 9 times the 2. We're going to do 9 times 2 because remember the radius, if I double the radius, that just gives me what my diameter is. If I double the radius, that will give me my diameter. So 9 times 2 is going to equal 18. So the diameter is equal to 18. Now I can plug 18 into the formula. This would be the only place where you might possibly make a mistake, is plugging the wrong value in. What do we get when we multiply 18 times 3.14? Go ahead and do that in your calculators. 18 times 3.14. 56.52. Yep, 56.52, and this is yards. Okay, so again, circumference is just taking the diameter's measurement and multiplying it by 3.14. That's all you are doing for circumference. Take the diameter's measurement, multiply it by 3.14. Any questions about how to solve for circumference? Okay, let's move on to area then. And the nice thing, guys, these two formulas will be given to you on your reference sheets. So when you are doing the milestones or when you are working through your final exam, those formulas are given to you on your reference sheet. You just have to click the reference sheet open to see the formula. Okay, so for area of a circle, diameter was used for circumference. What do you think we're going to have to use for area? The radius. Okay, so if the circumference has to use the diameter, the area is going to wind up using the radius. Area is going to be equal to the radius, r, but what's really important is it's to the second power. Radius raised to the second power, r squared. Not just r by itself, but r squared. And then we're going to multiply that by pi. Now, if you aren't very comfortable with exponents, what's another way that we can say r squared? Rueda? Not times 2. R times r. Very good. You could break this up and just say that it's r times r and then times pi. 5 squared is not the same thing as 5 times 2. 5 times 2 would give us 10. 5 squared would give us 25 because we would do 5 times 5. An exponent just tells you how many times you're going to repeat the multiplication of that value. So instead of just saying r to the second power, you can say it's r times pi. Perfectly fine to do that as well. So let's take the exact same circles that we have up here and plug those into the formulas that we've got. Let's start with the first circle that we had. The first circle that we had gave us the diameter for its measurement. The first circle gave us the diameter of 20. But again, do I need diameter? If I'm looking for area, do I need the diameter? No. I need the radius. I need to find what the radius value is going to be. So how do I find the radius if I'm given diameter? Eileen? Divide it by 2. See, if we multiply the radius by 2, that gives us the diameter. So if we divide the diameter by 2, that'll go back to the radius. So we're going to just take 20, divide it by 2, and that's going to give us the radius value of 10. So now we just plug that into our formula. For the area, we're going to do the radius, which is 10, times the radius, so times 10 again, times pi. What's pi again, guys? 3.14. So we're going to do 10 times 10 times 3.14, and that'll give us the area. And area is going to be 314, but this is area. Area is inches squared. Area is written in inches squared. Okay, let's do the other example that we had. The other example that we had said that we had a radius of 9 yards. We had a radius of 9 yards. So R is equal to 9, and that's what we need. In order to find area, we need to know the radius. We need to be able to do radius times pi. So we are being given what we need. So we just substitute that in. We're going to do 9 times 9 times 3.14. 9 times 9 times 3.14. And that's going to give us 254.34. And that is yards squared. So this is what we're focusing on for today. Identifying the parts of the circle, identifying how to plug them into the formula, the necessary formula, and then solving. I'm going to pause for just a second because I'm going to hand you guys a sheet to plug into your notebook. So for question number one that's been presented here, we have a circle, and the question is saying find the area. So the first thing I'm asking is, what are we trying to find? What is it that we're trying to find? The area. We are trying to find the area. So for question number one, I'm going to write down area. That's what we're trying to locate. Question two, what is the formula for area? So the formula for area is radius times pi. Radius times pi. So what do we need to know? The information we need to know for this formula is the radius. Is the radius given to us? Did they tell us what the radius is? No. They did not tell us what the radius is, so I'm going to cross out where it says yes, and instead, I'm going to figure out how to find it. If no, how do I find it? How do I find the radius? What did we say we would do? If they don't give us the radius, if they only gave us the diameter, this is a diameter measurement. I'm going to highlight that in blue. If they don't give us the radius, so they said that this diameter is 5 centimeters, how do we change diameter? How do we change diameter into the radius? I should see a lot of hands going up because that's a very easy concept. Go back to your notes. How do you change diameter into radius? Radius equals what to the diameter? Huh? Divide by 2. Very good. You're going to take the diameter and you're going to divide it by 2. So we're going to take the diameter and divide it by 2, which means we're going to take 5 and divide it by 2. What is 5 divided by 2, guys? What's half of 5? 2.5. So the radius is equal to 2.5. Now I can take that information and plug it into the formula. The formula was radius times pi. So we're going to do, instead, we're going to do 2.5 times 2.5 times 3.14. So 2.5 times 2.5 times 3.14. The area for this is going to come out to 19.625, and that is centimeters squared because it's area. Area is squared. So you're literally going through and you're going to say, okay, what am I finding? Am I finding area or am I finding circumference? What is the formula for what we're finding? What information do we need to know? We need to know the radius if it's area. We need to know diameter if it's circumference. Then we're going to look at it. In the picture, did they give us what we needed? Did they give us the radius? Did they give us the diameter if we need diameter? If they did, you're going to indicate what the value was. If they did not give it to you, the value you needed, you're going to tell me how do you find that value and what will it equal. And then you're going to take the value and plug it into the to solve the problem. Okay? It's a step-by-step direction on what to do. Go ahead and do problem number 2 on your own. Try problem number 2 on your own. All right, let's go ahead and go over this one. For problem number 2, we're given the circle with the diameter of 5. The question says, what is the circumference? So what are we trying to solve for? Circumference. We are trying to solve for the circumference. What is the formula for circumference? C equals d pi. So diameter times pi. So what is it that we need to know for the problem? The diameter. We need to know what the diameter's measurement is. Are we given the diameter's measurement? Yes. The measurement that's given to us is a diameter. The measurement that's given to us is the diameter, so the diameter is 5. We don't have to solve for anything. So we're going to take the 5 and plug it into our formula. So instead of diameter times pi, we're going to put in 5 times 3.14. And 5 times 3.14 is going to give us 15.7. So it's 15.7 centimeters for the circumference. That is for problem number 2. Let's take a look now at problem number 3. I'll leave this up for about 10 more seconds. You should have been doing this on your own too. Okay, let's take a look at problem number 3. For problem number 3, find the area of the given circle. So what is it that we're trying to find? The area. So we're going to write area into here. What is the formula for area? R squared times pi, or R times pi. Okay, R squared or R times pi. So what do we need to know? The radius. If we're trying to find area, we need to know what the radius is. Do we know the radius from the problem? Is that given to us? Yes. The radius is given to us. Remember, the radius is just that half point. So yes, The radius is 8. We don't need to solve for the radius at all. So we're going to plug it into the formula. We're going to, instead of doing r times pi, we're going to do 8 times 8 times 3.14. So we're going to multiply 8 times 8 times 3.14, and that's going to give us the area. So our area is equal to 200.96 meters squared. Meters squared. Okay, we had to solve for the area. The formula for area is radius times pi. That means we need to know what the radius is. The radius is the half measurement, so we're just going to do that half measurement, that 8 times 3.14, and then that's going to give us our answer, 200.96 meters squared. Okay, for problem number 4, this time, what is it that we're trying to find? The circumference. The question asks for the circumference in this problem. So what's the formula for circumference? Diameter times pi, so d times the pi. We need to know the diameter. The information we need is the diameter. Is it given to us? No. Information is not given to us, so we need to solve for it. How do we convert the radius into a diameter? Multiply it by 2. We're going to take that value and we're going to multiply it by 2. We're going to do radius times 2, which means that we're going to take 8, multiply it by 2, and that's going to give us what? 16. So the diameter is equal to 16. The diameter is going to be 16. So when we do diameter times pi, we're really going to be doing 16 times 3.14. We're going to do 16 times 3.14, and that's going to give us 50.24. Thank you. And that's meters. Okay, I'm going to call you up row by row to go get your computer. You have a quizzes assignment in which you are going to be identifying parts of the circle. You need to know your definitions. You need to know how to go from diameter to radius, radius to diameter, and then you'll have a handful of questions on solving for area and circumference.